Alright, so Chainsaw Man is finally out. And I just gotta start off by saying that, yeah, this is easily the best adaptation that any manga could possibly receive. Especially one like Chainsaw Man. There's nothing to improve. It's nearly perfect. What the fuck would you improve on? I can already hear the sound of neckbeards breathing really hard and typing really fast. Actually, the CGI, and so I guess I have to address that. Before I critique the quality of CGI in the show itself, I guess I gotta talk about the stigma associated with CGI first. I don't wanna sound like a parrot because I already made a very detailed, in-depth video. So I recommend you do watch that because if I say so myself, it's a pretty good video. And also because I need the view count. But it seems like the way people think about CGI has only gotten worse now. It's basically all CGI bad, especially if done by MAPPA, and unless if it's done by Ufotable. The double standards that people have, it's very fucking obvious. Berserker's model, while highly detailed, looked pretty janky and awkward in Fate Heaven's Feel 3, and that was a movie, but people were totally fine with it. I have seen better tentacles in SFM hentai than the one used in Demon Slayer Mugen Train, and that was a movie. But again, no one gave a shit. This is the best the Armored Titan has looked and moved since episode 2 of Attack on Titan. And this is from a TV show that was made in 8 months. But of course, even though it looked good, people were like, "Oh, how dare MAPPA use CGI, fuck you!" That's just the mindset that these people have. Like, they are by definition haters. Now, as for the quality of the CGI used itself, it's amazing. This is the best mixing of 2D and 3D action animation I've seen in anime. The only thing that compares to this is like Promare. And if you compare those two, you'll actually see why Chainsaw Man's 3D 2D mixing is so impressive. Promare took 4 years to produce. Pre-production took even more than that. It also has the advantage of being a movie. CGI always will be better quality in movie. Generally speaking, there are TV shows that have better quality CGI than certain movies. But the reason I'm saying that is CGI, for the initial pitch, it requires a good sum of money because CG modeling is not very cheap, unlike 2D animation where you can just give chump change to animators and let them do the job. For CGI modeling, you have to spend a little bit of money, and 3D animators are also paid more than 2D animators. So, like, contrary to popular belief, they don't use CGI to save on cost. It's the exact opposite. CGI models for characters who won't even appear all that often, then you'll just be wasting money. And movie productions don't care about that initial pitch of money being a little bit expensive because they're movies. They have a really high budget. And the last reason, and the most important one, Promare is not limited by art style. This is something I talked about in my CGI video. Again, if you watch that, you can just skip this entire portion. Promare's character design, you look at them, they have no detail. There's barely any line work, and they're very simple models. And they use the same kind of flat, textured, simple-looking CGI models to match those character designs. It's like the Promare team decided to use complex 2D, 3D shifts, and they designed what the 3D will look like and reverse engineered everything around it. They came up with character designs that won't look awkward when they're mixing it with CGI. They came up with background art that won't look awkward when mixed with CGI. They can do that because they're not limited by art style. They don't have to follow anything. Chainsaw Man has to follow something. Chainsaw Man has a manga. Look at Trigun Stampede, for example, done by Studio Orange. I saw the trailer. It's really well done CGI animation, and the CGI models also look really good, but they made the sacrifice of not following the actual character designs. The original character designs won't look very good in CGI, so they came up with their own character designs that would look good in CGI, so that they can do the animation in CGI. Chainsaw Man's CGI character designs are limited by art style because they have to look like their manga counterpart and have to look and move like 2D so that they can seamlessly shift between 2D and 3D. Saying something dumb like Disney has better CGI or Arcane has better CGI is a terrible comparison to make because Arcane is the character designs in Arcane. They're not trying to emulate the look of 2D. You can look at that and immediately tell, yeah, this is CGI animation. It's really good looking CGI animation, but it's very obvious that it's CGI. Chainsaw Man CGI models, they have to try and look like 2D models because they're mixing it with other foreground character models that are 2D. So now why go through that troublesome endeavor of having to mix 2D and 3D? Why not just animate everything in 2D? That would just remove the necessity of making 3D models look like 2D, right? The reason they have to use 3D models is because they don't have budget. No, that's not it. They don't have time. They are rushing it. No, that's not it either. It's because it's literally impossible to take something that looks this detailed and draw it frame by frame. That's why all of these seinen manga with hyper detailed character designs are always made in anime format using CGI. Is the reason why Berserk does not have a good adaptation. How the fuck do you draw this frame by frame? It's also the reason why I'm very scared for One Punch Man Season 3. I have no idea how they're gonna make that show. Vagabond will probably never receive an anime adaptation. If it ever does, the best thing that it could possibly hope for is like Star Wars Visions episode done by Kamikaze Doga. It was done in full 3D. Like the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that episode was that, wow, this is how I want Vagabond to look. Of course, I want Vagabond to look full 2D, but that's simply impossible. Similarly with Chainsaw Man, it is simply impossible to draw a model as complicated as a Chainsaw Man full 2D all the time. It's not realistic. There are few animators capable of doing it, and they did it. Even in this episode, there's a lot of shots with the Chainsaw Man that is done in 2D, but it's simply not possible for it to be 2D 100% of the time. To make up for that, they substituted with CGI, which looks really fucking incredible. This is the culmination of years of training CGI directors that MAPPA has done. All the way back when MAPPA was initially built, Masao Maruyama knew that the future of anime will require integration of 2D and 3D. And so he brought in talented people like Yuichiro Hayashi to culminate experience with that. And so it began. Garo the animation. Pretty mediocre looking CGI. It's not very good. Inuyashiki the Last Hero. The shift between 2D and 3D is done pretty seamlessly now, but the quality of 3D is still pretty shitty. It's not very good. Dorohedoro. Really high quality CGI, seamless shifting between 2D and 3D. It looks very good now, but the CGI models still feel weightless during action sequences. That's just one limitation that CGI will have. Attack on Titan the final season. Not only are the CGI models really good looking, they move very well. Clever storyboarding techniques are used to make the CGI look more weighty. Attack on Titan the final season part 2 takes everything that they did with part 1 and builds upon it. It's better in every possible way. This is some of the best CG work integrated flawlessly with 2D that we've gotten in TV anime. And finally, we have Chainsaw Man. The culmination of everything a studio has learned over the past decade. Flawless shifting between 2D and 3D. 3D models that not only look very good, but the movements don't even look a little bit janky and actually have real weight behind the swings, because now they're not using motion blur to convey speed. They're using actual 2D smears with the 3D models to convey weight and speed. And people are complaining. Some people don't deserve anime. But yeah, I think this episode is nearly flawless. I say nearly because I do have some critiques with the CGI. It looks amazing, but there's one cut or maybe two cuts that I could possibly critique at. It looks a little bit janky, or like I would have preferred if they used 2D instead in those sequences. But that's about it. I'll get there when I talk about that, when I break down every single scene, which I guess I'm gonna do now. So right off the bat, we are greeted with this awesome looking 3D background model. Not only is the detail really well, not only the movement really well, it's really fluid. I think it's animated in once. Yep, totally animated in once. And look at the textures, right? This is like AAA video game quality textures. It is so good. The perception of depth is done really well. Immediately starting off with a very good looking CGI model. Everything here is CGI for this one cut, and it looks great. And this then transitions to Denji opening his eyes. And of course, just an effect showing eye opening. That would be too easy. So what they do is add textures of eyelashes around the edges of the screen. As you can see around here, the edges, you can actually see a blurred texture of eyelashes. Immediately you'll start getting to see some awesome layouts. This is very well shot. It's shot with the idea in mind that, yeah, there is someone going into the 2D world and recording the shit with the camera. It's very cinematic. Like, it's the difference between Wit Studios' Attack on Titan and MAPPA's Attack on Titan. Wit Studios' Attack on Titan looked better, yeah, but it looked anime. MAPPA's Attack on Titan looked like an anime adaptation of a live-action show. The way it was shot with the cinematography and the videography, even though there's no camera. So I should really be saying the way it was animated with the layouts and the storyboards, it was made to look like cinema. Vinland Saga could definitely utilize this vibe, this cinematic vibe that we were going for, but unfortunately it didn't go for that. It tried to remain like a pseudo anime while being realistic kind of vibe. And while the backgrounds look great and the 2D characters look great most of the time, it really doesn't feel like these character designs belong in front of these backgrounds. It's fine, it still looks great, but this looks better. And you can already see the stellar compositing work of Teppei in action here, like the light reflecting off of the particles. Gosh, that sound is so cute. Pochita is voice acted by Nanachi's voice actress. And yeah, that's just the perfect allocation of voice actor to character that I've ever seen. This is perfect. I love Nanachi. I love Nanachi's voice in particular. I don't know if it's the voice actress actually having to bark here. I would probably guess, yeah, it's a person having to bark, which is kind of poetic for Chainsaw Man. But anyway, the art direction is phenomenal. The first cut I'm going to talk about with the art direction is this one. This has this 2.5D effect. All these trees are layered in a way to give the effect of depth. You can feel like these leaves are in the very front, then this tree in the back, and then this tree, and then these two, and then everything in the background feels like one layer. This is awesome. I'm a sucker for like 2.5D layering effects. It always looks really cool. It's what's so appealing to me about Hollow Knight's art style. Hollow Knight is a video game, and it's got this beautiful 2.5D aesthetic going for it. There's another example that's coming pretty soon that I'll point out. So what I want you to look in this scene is the very front here. So here you go. Look at how they're subtly swaying in the wind. That is attention to detail that is almost unnecessary. I think it's just a compositing effect to make it look like it's swaying, or maybe it's rough CGI models that is blurred out and made to sway in the wind. But the point is, no one is doing that unless they're working on perfect conditions. The people, every single person who worked on the show loves the show. That's why they're doing this. This is another shot that looks incredible. Again, with the 2.5D effect that they're going for here. And this is done absolutely flawlessly. You can tell the depth here. Like, this tree does not look like a flat image. The reason why this is so impressive is because there's no depth here. There's actually no depth here. It's all 2D, right? So the distance between the top of this tree and the road is 0. They're just flat backgrounds layered on top of each other. But to give the visual effect such that the top of the tree is much higher as compared to the road, that takes such an incredible level of skill. You really won't get to see shots like these in anime, because anime is all about illusion. You're giving an illusion of depth by using something that is actually two-dimensional. And to give the illusion of depth, you have to play with perspectives. Here, they're not even playing with perspectives. They are limiting themselves to 2 dimensions. This is a top shot. A top shot of something will give you 2 dimensions. They're purposely limiting themselves to 2 dimensions to go the extra mile and make the shot look unique. I love this 2.5D aesthetic that they're going for here. And there's a lot of sequences, like every single sequences with the backgrounds. You can see multiple layers of backgrounds. And again, just this fluid animation with the walk cycle is just insane. Look at how much his hair is moving with every single frame. Just the hair has inertia. Every single component has inertia. When it switches his cloth, look at the level of detail that his clothing has. So many wrinkles. Gosh, I love Pochita. Pochita is so cute. This is another extremely cool sequence. I don't know how they did this. I don't know if they're using CGI here. Okay, this is the first frame of the shot. This looks 2D. This does not look like CGI to me. Nothing here looks like CGI to me. So I think they're just playing with perspective with the way they're doing that 2.5D layering thing. But I don't know, man. This walk cycle here was done by Sota Yamazaki. Sota Yamazaki is sort of like a main animator for this episode at least. He did a lot of cuts. Let me check how many sequences he actually did. 9 sequences, maybe he also animated in the opening, but that's a lot for one episode. Yeah, just super fluid walk cycles, just super realistic movements, which is something you'll see throughout this episode and hopefully throughout the season. It looks like it's going to be that way. I mean, it's a full industry passion project. There's no reason for this to decline in quality as the episodes progress, which is what usually happens with other projects like Fire Force, for example. Episode 1 looked absolutely incredible, and then the rest of the episodes didn't look a fraction of how good episode 1 looked. That is not going to happen here. I heard a lot of people saying that. The rest of the episodes are going to look just as good as this episode. And yeah, I don't know how Devils are made. Don't give me a spoiler because I haven't read the manga. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be similar to how curses are made in Jujutsu Kaisen, or spirits exist in Mob Psycho 100, just fear being driven into spiritual bodies and they come into existence. Why would people be scared of tomatoes? I don't really know, but maybe it's hatred towards tomatoes, like kids have. I don't want to eat my veggies. Yeah. We get to the opening. All right. gonna have to spend a lot of time here. This is gonna be a really, really long video, but I don't care. I mean, it's Chainsaw Man's first episode. I have to do this analysis justice. Anyway, so how good is this opening? It's one of the best openings of anime I have ever witnessed. I thought there's absolutely no chance anything could beat Shingo Yamashita's opening for Osama ranking, but yeah, it happened. Shingo Yamashita got dethroned by Shingo Yamashita, who also did Chainsaw Man's opening. Shingo Yamashita made one of the best looking openings of all time, and then did it again, and then did it again, and now he's done it again. This man is so good that he made Boruto look good. He's so good at what he does that the only competition he has is himself. Again, there are other openings, especially in this season, that look really good. Like, this is the most stacked seasons of openings, right? Like Spy X Family opening looks really, really good. And the opening is directed by Tetsuro Araki, the director of Attack on Titan. He also directed Death Note, and in my opinion, his best work, High School of the Dead. And it shows. Spy X Family's opening looks absolutely incredible. The animations look great. Compositing work is incredible. It rivals Shingo Yamashita's compositing work that he does in the opening. But what's missing there is the flow between scenes. That's what Shingo Yamashita does so well. The fade-ins and the cut-ins. Spy X Family's opening looks like individual clips that are really well animated, thrown together, just edited together to be cohesive. Shingo Yamashita's opening flow from one moment to the next seamlessly. So yeah, Shingo Yamashita is really the best when it comes to openings. The only competition he has is like Sayo Yamamoto. Her Psycho-Pass opening still gives me wet dreams sometimes. So yeah, this is my pick for opening of the decade, opening of the year. It's easily opening of the season. And yeah, as I said before, it's not because it does not have competition, because yeah, it does have competition. This season is so stacked that even My Hero Academia's opening and ED look good. But nothing compares to this. The second best opening of the season being a Spy X Family's opening. And so after the chainsaw pull segment, we get this slow, flawless rotation. It's all entirely done in once, and the characters are not CGI, right? The character models are CGI here. This is the first time I'm actually noticing it. And the one that gave it away is Denji. Denji's hair, that just looks very unnatural. And here it's obviously switches to 2D. Shingo Yamashita is a master of compositing and 3D work. He animated the panda parkour scene from Jujutsu Kaisen opening all by himself. He did the CGI modeling himself for both the building and the panda model. Man knows his way around CGI modeling and compositing. And I love the way it interacts with the music. The ting ting reminds me of some sequences in Jujutsu Kaisen where the sequences interact with the music. I love this. Just so much personality given to the characters just from the way they look, right? Their expression here. Denji's just goofing around, and when it switches, Denji looks at Makima with puppy dog eyes, and look at Makima's face here. It's done so well. It's lovely. I don't even know how Makima is going to interact with Denji and the rest of the characters, but I'm getting kind of sussy vibes here. Fujimoto, the creator of the manga, is a very big fan of movies, and Shingo Yamashita respected that, paid homage to a bunch of movies here. I don't know most of these references, but I do know this one. This is from Pulp Fiction. But if I'm talking about the animation again, look at the gun here, right? Look at how it moves subtly. Do you have to animate a gun moving so subtly? Shingo Yama's gonna do it anyway. And this is something like Sadako versus something I don't really know. This devil looks sick. What is it? The Sword Devil? Katana Devil? That'd be really cool. Katana Devil versus Chainsaw Devil. Yeah, and all of these are movie references, shot pretty much in an identical way to how the movie is in. A bunch of videos already exist to show the comparisons. Kevin did make a good comparison video, and I'm going to utilize every opportunity I get to give a shout out to Kevin and Sakuga Boru and Sakuga Blog. They are my favorite websites. Yeah, I love all these shots. They all look great. I don't know who this girl is, but she is pretty submissive. She just sits there because power took her seat. It's kind of funny, but it's also kind of sad. You start to see Shingo Yama's incredible, the way he cuts from scene to scene. It's really awesome. Bowling, hits the strike, and then he makes a meme here. Remember bowling alley screen memes? He pretty much made a meme like that over here with power, and she looks really nice with Makima just walking Denji in the background like a dog. Yeah. And all these demonic arms come entrapping Denji, but that's just switching to the next scene. And again, this is just masterful compositing. Shingo Yamashita has this warm compositing that he does, where every single color pops out so much. This is the best compositing that you could possibly expect from even a show. Like, this is not just openings. Shingo Yamashita directed Pokemon Twilight Wings, and that's got some incredible compositing. It's just a short series, but I do recommend you watch that, especially if you're a fan of Pokemon, then you gotta watch it. It's just animation quality of Jujutsu Kaisen openings and Chainsaw Man opening stretched out to multiple episodes, and it looks great. And here there's a subtle, it's very subtle, but it actually shows Denji going to grab Makima's boobs. I think that's what's happening. Maybe he's just tripping, and that's why Makima is looking down. But it really does feel like he's moving slowly forward. This is a dream sequence, right? He's moving forward to grab Makima's milkers and just honk on them. Just look at the level of detail here with the compositing. Just incredible compositing. Again, we get a fully hand-drawn chainsaw head here. But then again, it's Shingoyama, so I can't tell. Like, the snail might be fucking 3D. That's how good he is with compositing and 3D work. But yeah, the way it's moving, it's definitely 2D. Looks 2D here. Again, boom, it looks really eerie here. And then the cutaway with the beat drop, just the building exploding out. That's so cool. Again, that is a CGI background, right? That is a CGI background. It's not trying to look like a CGI background though. It's trying to look like a 2D background, which is why it's animated in 2s. Or maybe it's just a hand-drawn background. I have no fucking clue. But considering it's Shingoyama, I'm pretty sure this is a Blender background. 3D background made to look 2D. What is sick about it is that the explosion, the destruction remains permanent, even though it is a 3D background. Again, I keep saying this, but I might be wrong and this might be full 2D animation. There's really no way to tell when the quality is just so high. And you can just see even when Denji's sawing to reduce his momentum as he's going down, he saws through the window cracks. Just the attention to detail is incredible. As for who animated the scene, it's Work Creek. That's right, the 18-year-old prodigy animator. He might be 19 now, I'm not sure. But he directed the ending sequence of Kaguya-sama. I made a whole breakdown of it. If you're interested, go watch it. Like, he's Norio Matsumoto's school. He animates like Norio Matsumoto. But right here, in this particular sequence that he's animating, it looks like he's mixing Norio Matsumoto with Yutaka Nakamura style. And the only thing that looks Nakamura-esque is, of course, the jagged edges with the smoke effects. This is definitely Nakamura-like effects. And the pole here is 2D, right? I can't tell, man. I really can't distinguish between the 2D and 3D. It's so good. Yeah, sick motions. Look at these transitions. They're so good. Boom. Forms a ring. Transitions. Then she gets thrown around like a fucking ragdoll. The building in the background is definitely 3D. Yeah, this building definitely looks 3D. However, this one is probably 2D background animation. And then he gets thrown around like crazy. And we get a sequence by Tam Lu. This is it. Tam Lu is officially in anime. If you don't know who Tam Lu is, he's a pretty good animator. Let's put it that way. And by good, I mean once in a generation, God-gifted talent kind of good. When I talk about the best animated seasons of anime of all time, I always talk about One Punch Man Season 1, Space Dandy, Violet Evergarden, Mob Psycho 100, and I talk about Castlevania Season 4. It's not an anime, but it's still one of the best feats of 2D animation in recent memory that I've witnessed. And more than half of that was probably animated by Tam Lu alone. And then another 30% by the director Samuel Dietz, and then 20% by other talented animators. And here, this is Tam Lu's signature style. There's no line work, as you can probably see. There's no line work here, and the level of detail is beyond incredible. The paintbrush aesthetic is crazy. This is the best looking opening this year, maybe ever, with all the animators working here. But even among those animators, Tam Lu makes the best looking sequence. It is ridiculous. He's probably still really young. I don't know how old he is. I hope he's not younger than me. That would just be depressing, but also very fucking impressive. But yeah, he's one of the best animators ever, man. Already, he's able to animate something of this high level of detail with such high level of fluidity. It's all done in once, right? Yep, it's all done in once with the background and the effects. With the foreground model of Chainsaw Man, it's done in 2s. But here it's done in once. So it's a mix of ones and 2s for the Chainsaw Man. But all the effects and the backgrounds, even the clouds and smoke here, it's animated by him. You can see from the style. He takes inspiration from Keitsuro Watanabe and does this brush work aesthetic, probably inspired by Shingo Yamashita, Norio's school again. And this sequence in particular looks like it's heavily inspired from Naruto Shippuden's opening 6, which also, as you can see here, really beautiful inky effects animation with a complete absence of line work. It's just paintbrush strokes that flows with an incredible level of fluidity. And guess who animated that? Shingo Yamashita, the guy who's directing this opening. So I do think Tam Lu's paying homage to that sequence, but then again, this is very similar to his style. And again, Shingoyama is doing an incredible job at bringing about the goofiness of Chainsaw Man, because it is a balance of goofiness and gore. That's what Chainsaw Man feels like, at least from the first episode. First episode was mostly depressing, but considering how goofy the fandom is with the memes that they make, Power coming in whoosh, wearing glasses, probably trying to look smart. I don't know what she's doing here. The shot looks great. Oh, look at the transfer of energy there. Without impact frames too. Those smears and the impact that's animated here looks so sick. And these two cuts, animated by Yen Yen, inspired by Utapon, the sense of speed here. And yeah, every time I see Yen animating, it just brings a tear to my eye because I've been following this man since 2015, back when I was 15 years old. And he was just making amateur animations. He was still really good, just trying to imitate Yutaka Nakamura and Wei Zhang. But his journey is truly inspirational to see how far he's come by sheer effort, hard work, dedication to honing his skill. It's just incredible. He made one of the highlight sequences in Tucked Up Destiny, and here he does something similar. This looks absolutely amazing. I love the way the tie is moving. The clothing is moving so much. I love this pose as well. So sick. Yeah, I think the Chainsaw Man is fully 2D for the entirety of this opening, which is crazy considering the sheer level of detail that this model has. To keep it 2D for the entire opening is crazy. I wonder who did the art animation direction. Maybe it was the animators themselves, but yeah. And again, flawless, seamless transitions. Look at this, right? All of that momentum with the previous sequence, with Denji just coming down, boom, that's transferred into Denji cracking an egg. Just an extremely seamless transition that Shingo Yamashita does. And again, this shows an incredible understanding of the source material, of taking something so visceral and brutal and then seamlessly transitioning that into Denji just breaking eggs. Again, we get this hallway. I don't know what's up with that. I'm guessing what's up with that is that this used to be where Denji used to stay, and when he opened the door, he saw his father hanging. I have no clue what's going on here. This just looks so goofy. Yeah, it looks super goofy. And to top it all off, this is animated by Keiichiro Watanabe. There was so much crazy action going on, but all of that was done by junior animators. And now the veteran animators are doing the goofy sequences, like this dance, done by Keiichiro Watanabe, and then this dance in the end, done by Koki Fujimoto. The veterans are doing the goofy sequences. Just really fun. And the way you can tell that this is Koki Fujimoto is by the smears. Koki Fujimoto takes line work, the idea of line work, and then removes it from the smears. As you can see, Denji's fist here, literally no line work. And you'll see that again, yeah. Every time you need to show smears, he just removes line work, shows some jagged lines, but I mean, that's just jagged smears. There's no lines here. You can see a similar technique being used by his cut in Jujutsu Kaisen's first episode. Backgrounds look incredible. Compositing looks incredible. Yeah, and that's it. That's the best opening of the year and one of the best openings I have ever witnessed ever. What are your favorite looking openings? I have to say, favorite looking openings visually. Like if I'm not talking about visuals, just talking about the overall vibe with visuals, music, all that stuff, then my favorite opening of all time is still Soul Eater's first opening. I just love everything about that opening so much. So yeah, tell me, what's your favorite opening? Just overall favorite opening, and also aesthetically, what do you think is the best opening ever made? I would say it's this one. Again, this is just a tiny sequence, and look how beautiful the animation is here. Gosh, that looks sick. The way the liquid is flowing is so good. And I also wonder if Pochita can use this blood to heal, or if it's just human blood that devils can use to heal. Again, a small nitpick here, the CGI crowds don't look as good as they could, and they're framing it in a way that your eyes actually adjust to the CGI crowds. Because here, this cut moves to this cut, right? The first thing I noticed when they transition to this cut is this, I think it's the woman here, because she's carrying a grocery bag, so it's definitely a woman. That's the one I'm looking at first. But there is Denji. Denji's all the way in this corner over here, and they're not forcing you to look at Denji here. And I'm sure most people probably noticed this character first, so it's completely irrelevant. It's just a CGI character in the background. If you look this closely, it's not very good looking. But I mean, it's hard to critique the show's visuals because it's as close to perfection as it can be. Yeah, Pochita is so cute. When he's slowly moving forward, you can just see that his hair is also subtly moving. The hair settle animation is incredible. Again, love these shots. Very cinematic vibes with these shots. All of this again is animated by Sota Yamazaki. Again, as I said before, he animated a lot of cuts in this episode, and those wrinkles. Look at those wrinkles. They're so thick and meaty. I want to bite into those wrinkles. That sounds weird because that's clothing worn by an old man, but it looks so beautiful. It's animated so well. The level of detail is incomprehensible for a TV anime. Again, this CGI model for the car, the model itself is good, but it has anti-aliasing issues, or well, aliasing issues. It's not anti-aliased properly. The textures you can see here, it's kind of jagged. Again, it's something you'll only notice if you're looking specifically for it. It's unfortunately still noticeable that there's aliasing in this car, and yeah, it feels weird considering every single other element in the show is just of such a high quality, and they just left aliasing in here for this one vehicle. Kind of weird. And I don't think it's detail compression, because here, as you can see, that even when the car is very close to you, the jagged edges are still pretty prevalent. Yeah, here it's pretty blurred out, so you can't see it properly. But here, it's not blurred out. All the details are clearly visible, and the line work is slightly jagged out. So it's probably not compression, it's just aliasing issues. Again, really beautiful shot with the art direction. Fantastic painting here. Absolutely love it. Wallpaper worthy. And you thought Pochita couldn't be cuter, but then you see it eating bread, and yeah, the chewing noises, everything about Pochita is just so cute. This is the last time I'm going to talk about the layout. This is a really cool shot. I'm saying that this is the last time I'm going to say it because I'm tired, man. I have to say that for every single one of these shots. Ryu Nakayama did such an incredible job for his debut work in anime. Well, debut directorial work in anime, which is also not true. He did the direction for episode 19 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which looked incredible. But here, this is the debut work as chief director, and after this, he's just gonna keep getting high-profile works one after the other. It's gonna be crazy road ahead of him. Again, this shot also looks amazing. I know I literally just said that I'm not going to talk about the layouts anymore, but I have to. They are just so impressive. Look at how beautiful the art direction is alongside the compositing. That looks so sick. Here, the vehicle looks much better. I love how the rain droplets are sliding along the side of the vehicle. This whole sequence was animated by Keisuke Kobayashi, just to add to the character acting. Character acting is probably the best portion about this show. The action animation is also incredible, so I can't really put one over the other. But most shows, wow, that's a nice frame to pause on. Most shows, action shows, skip out on character acting and make sure that they pour all their resources into the action animation. But this is such a high-profile show, this is such a monumental show in the production of anime as a whole, that, yeah, everything looks perfect. This is literally movie quality in the form of anime, TV anime. And yeah, I love the background here. It feels grim and dark, but also kind of hopeful. The way he's holding Pochita's legs are also slightly wiggling, right? Yeah, the inertia being shifted with Pochita's legs just wobbling, the level of attention to detail, and just the natural fluid motions. Pretty cool looking shot again, like this man is almost a fisheye effect with how this man is standing. This is the best sequence of character acting in this episode, and one of the best sequences of character acting I've ever seen. This is again done by Sota Yamazaki, so the third incredible character acting sequence that I have to point out by this one animator. So he spits blood. The shading on the blood is amazing. Then he hears the knock, and look at the way he's turning, right? That is incredible. Like, he's keeping his hand like this, so because otherwise the blood will drip off everywhere. And it looks like his throat is full. The way he's rotating here, just look at that. It looks like he's holding his mouth like this, and then just rotating in a way that conveys pain, and like he's holding something in his throat because it's filled sort of with blood right now. He just spat out blood. So I'm sure he used reference for this. I'm sure he acted out or had someone act out the sequence and then use that as reference, because you can't come up with this just using your head. I don't think it's possible. Something that with this level of details, this level of fluidity, this level of natural motion, yeah, you probably need reference from this. If he didn't use this reference, then Sota Yamazaki is the best character acting animator ever. Really sick looking 3D backgrounds here. Ufotable movie quality, honestly. It's that good. Another extremely impressive top-down shot. what makes this so impressive is, look at the car, right? You'd expect the car to be the CGI model in the foreground, and then all the trees and all that stuff is the background artwork. But the car goes under the tree here. The car goes under the tree. So again, think about the layers here. There's the background art, which is the road and just a little bit of foliage, and the CGI model of the car on top of that layer, and then another layer of background art with the trees and all of that on top of it. Just absolutely incredible compositing and art direction. The CGI animation for the car is also good, like it's slowing down to turn right. They even animated the indicator on it. And again, the way it's turning feels completely natural, and the way it slows down and stops here also feels supernatural. And as it's stopping, you can see that the red lights are glowing harder. Yeah, just a compositing effect, but just the attention of detail put into something as minute as that. It's always the small stuff that matters. Maybe because my stuff is small. I love the sound direction also, because there's no fancy sound effect when Denji gets stabbed. There's no shing, nothing absurd like that. It's just supernatural sounds. When things get stabbed in real life, there's no fancy sound effect or anything. And yeah, the sound director is also doing an incredible job here. And the way that he spits out blood is just so painful to see. And then we get to see Pochita spit out blood, which is even more painful to watch. Yeah, those movements are just so incredibly natural looking. The character design is just so incredibly creepy. The zombie devil. The detail on it is insane. And I love the sound effect. The bong. Just look at this design, yo. He's using his intestines to stand up, stay afloat. He's using his intestine as appendages. His head is on his chest, but his brain is on his neck. It's just a crazy character design. Just even with the zombie devil, it's just a head, and the character acting is crazy with it. Yeah, I don't really see any CGI here. All these zombies are individually animated, but then it switches to the CGI, and it's pretty easy to tell that it is CGI, but it's still really well animated CGI. CGI here, again, utilized because of the limitation of 2D animation. It just takes a lot of time to animate a lot of individual components, especially if they are character models. For example, this scene from the old Ramayana movie, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I watched it as a kid. But yeah, there's this scene here. Just the sheer quantity of characters, right? There are like at least 100 monkeys on your screen and a couple of elephants. Then there's effects animation, all that stuff. And all of them are individually animated in 2D. And it took the animator 2 months to make this single cut that barely lasts for a few seconds. So whenever there are way too many characters to animate, it's just much better to use CGI for it. And this is obviously very good CGI, and the attention of detail is really good because they don't look floaty. The reason they don't look floaty is because they're animating their shadows. And from here, we again have Koki Fujimoto's incredible character acting, very natural motions. Yeah, look at that. Just the leg smear. Look at his foot here. As I said in the opening breakdown, absolutely no line work in the smear. Easy to say that it's Fujimoto from that. I love the sweat coming from his face and just the most natural motions ever. Yeah, him trying to get away, all the little details, you can feel the tension. Again, I can't tell if this is a CGI background. I might be wrong, but it actually does look like it's CGI. I don't know, man. Might be 2D models stacked on top of each other as they've done for the rest of the episode. If you can hear the sound of construction in the background, there's nothing I can really do about that. Anyway, yeah, the way Denji spits out blood is just so painful to watch. And the CGI movement here is so good. Again, the smears, classic Koki Fujimoto smears with absolutely no line work whatsoever. The blood is a mixture of 2D and 3D effects. It's mostly 2D effects animation, but you see just a little bit of sprinkles of 3D effects there. Unnecessary if you ask me, but it doesn't look bad. So, I mean, more blood is always nice, right? And yeah, this whole segment is just so painful to watch. It's really well animated, which adds to it looking extremely painful. One eye is all we can see here. And he still gets the pain across. So yeah, fantastic animation by Fujimoto. He animated for 3 whole minutes in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Then he animated the highlight of Mob Psycho 100's latest episode. So I don't know what this man runs on. I don't know how he's able to animate so much. Fujimoto is the fucking goat. The mangaka and the animator. Love this panning shot here. This is a one take. And I don't think CGI is even used here for the panning. It's just great art direction. The way it's morphed and stuff. Yeah, that's such a long cut but it's very hard to do with a single panel 2D background. That's the most dead looking dead face I've seen. Again, look at this tree cutting sequence when the tree falls down. I think the tree that they're cutting is CGI. Yeah, there are two CGI trees here. This one and the one adjacent to it. As this tree moves, it interacts with this one, so that shakes a little. So both the trees that are animated are in CGI, and it mixes so well with the background art direction. So not only does the CGI mix really well with 2D foreground elements, it also mixes really well with the art direction. Yeah, dude, there's nothing cuter than Pochita in existence. This is the most cutest thing. Gosh, it has a chainsaw on its fucking forehead, and it's still the cutest thing on the planet. Dude, just look at it. Just look at how cute it is. I'm sorry if this might be getting annoying, but I can't stop. It's so cute. Look at those little paws. Oh man, that's adorable. I'm definitely gonna get a plushie. And this transition is incredibly well done. The transition to the blood, and then just the chainsaw element, just wires rejoining his arms. Really good background animation here as well. I love the textures used around the area where Pochita is connected. And yeah, Nanachi's voice, the perfect fit for any cute character. And Pochita is the cutest character that there is. And now we get to the final action sequence. Here I get to talk more about the CGI and all that stuff, but I also get to talk about this devil. It's so disgusting, it's so gross, and the way it speaks just juxtaposes its grossness. It talks like a kid. It uses Boku as personification instead of, well, what would it use, right? But Watashi would kind of feel weird for a devil again, but Boku is the weirdest one that it could use. And it calls Denji gross. You got a brain sprouting through your neck, and you're standing on your intestines. This kind of juxtaposition between the way the demon talks and behaves to its design reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen 0 with Rika's design. Another sick looking cut with a lot of moving components here. I mean, the zombies all have a good amount of detail as well. None of this is CGI, right? Nope. So that's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 individual zombies drawn by hand, frame by frame. And most of their motion is similar, and they might be using the same layouts for some of the zombies in the backgrounds. But they still look completely unique and different, which is crazy. Good looking motion with so many components, really difficult to do. And then he gets jumped by zombies. And they do tear his body apart, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like he's pulling apart pieces here. So he does get hurt. So I'm assuming that he does have regenerative powers, because there was a shot in the trailer where I was going through it frame by frame and I saw that Denji is missing an arm. So yeah, I'm sure he has regenerative powers. Also because he regenerated other parts of his body, right? He regenerated his eye, his probably kidney, and hopefully his testicle. And again, the zombies here, I don't think it's CGI. No, it's 2D again. So they are only using 3D if absolutely necessary. Look at the whirring noises of the chainsaw, and then boom, explosion of Riki Matsura's incredible effects animation. Riki Matsura, I can't stop singing his praises. And yeah, the paintbrush strokes are so cool to see. It just works especially for blood. His style just works so much. I love it. And yeah, this is the bad CGI that people were talking about. It just looks really good. I don't know what to say. This is really good looking CGI. Only thing I can nitpick about is the wires, the way it connects to his neck. It does not look like it's connected to his neck at all. It looks like a clay model placed on top of a human head, which is not how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to, go inwards. So I wish they could make it look like it's connected better. There's such a heavy amount of texture work here. It's really good. The colors look great. It's awesome. Clothing is the hardest thing to animate using CGI, because you need to add cloth physics and stuff, which is just very hard to do. So what do? The bottom half is 2D. Look at this. His pants are 2D. And when the zombies pull on his pants, the fabric moves accordingly. This is what you're calling bad CGI and bad mixing. They literally mixed 3D with 2D on one body. Top half 3D, bottom half 2D. This is the peak of anime 2D and 3D mixing. This is the best we've ever seen so far. And yeah, all of the 2D elements with the wrinkles on his pants, all of that probably still animated by Riki Matsura. For this cut, they could have used CGI of the crowd. They did use CGI for the Chainsaw Man model here, because as I said, it's really hard to draw. But for the rest of these guys, they could have used CGI, but they didn't. It's all 2D. This is literally the opposite of overusing CGI. They're only using it if absolutely necessary. And again, a really good close-up. This is full 2D, and the effects animation still look like Riki Matsuro's animation. This is full CGI again, but when he explodes forward, they use 2D smears. Look at that. Look at those, how smeary that is. That's so sick that they're utilizing smears on top of 3D. It looks sick. This is mostly digital blood here, but then it switches to actual 2D blood, and then just bits and pieces flying around. It's so visceral. I love it. With the CGI model, you can really tell the smears here. With the shoulder here and the head, amazing looking smears. Absolutely love it. Fantastic looking CGI model. Again, this sense of speed and close-ups is very Nakamura-esque, because this is animated by Shun Enokido, who I also think is the animation director for this episode. Let me check. Never mind, he didn't do the animation direction here. He just did the animation for this one segment. It's probably my favorite action segment of this episode. I also really like the Tatsuya Yoshihara scene, so there's that. But this is one of the best. And yeah, he animates in Yutaka Nakamura style. He's a follower of Yutaka Nakamura. And all the way back from his university days, he was already friends with Ryu Nakayama. He was very close to Ryu Nakayama, even when he was in his university. So I am expecting Shun Enokido to be like the main action animator, appearing multiple times in this show, which is only great because just look at this cut. Fuck, that's the sickest cut of this episode. It's so good. Just really Nakamura sense of timing here. This looks so similar. The timing and sense of speed of both of these sequences look so similar. Again, I love the explosion of water droplets here. That looks so sick. Where is it coming from? I do think it's like Denji's sweat. And the perspective shift on the demon, the devil, is so sick. The way his head is coming forward. The way his intestine is grabbing Denji and then just flings him. Sick. I also love as Denji hits the beam and then boom, the the dirt and dust just flows from it. That's really good. That's just fantastic. And yeah, for those wondering, the Chainsaw Man is fully 2D here. Starting here, right? This is full 2D, I think. No, that's CGI. Yeah, this is still CGI. This is full 2D. Yeah, very easy to tell that's full 2D. And again, the smears used, so sick. Yeah, this is definitely full 2D Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is 3D 90% of the time. Yeah, bullshit. And he's still 2D. As he hits that, you can see the smears. And now you see the shadow coming. And now he shifts to 3D again. Bam! The sense of impact is given here so well because of the 2D spark effects. Yeah, but the 3D animation here is still really sick. And it switches to 2D here again. This is full 2D, right? Am I wrong? Is this 3D? I don't think so. Because the way the wires are joined to his body, it looks different here compared to the way it looks like in his 3D model. Here it actually looks like it's going into his body. So it's probably 2D here again. Yeah, this is probably full 2D. This is still full 2D. Yeah, it's full 2D, right? It's literally 2D more often than it is CGI. So why the hell are people complaining? I have no idea. The zombie devil just flings people at him. Well, zombies. And here it switches back to 3D for the Chainsaw Man. Man, look how detailed this model is. How can you hate this? It's so good. It is actually seamlessly shifting back to 2D here. Like this is CGI. And then there's like a forward smear. This is 2D. And then it switches to 2D. That's sick. He gets hit with the human bodies. And then this goes back to CGI again. This whole sequence is CGI because it's a far away shot. But even then the slices when he's... Yeah, look at the smear over here. It's 2D smears. 2D smears with CGI models. They didn't use that much of that with Attack on Titan. But they're clearly using a lot of that here. Digital blood. Yeah, digital effects animation with the blood, but look at this sick smear. It's so good. The CGI animation here is so good. It feels weighty. The movements feel natural. It feels absolutely like 2D animation. They could have used this CGI model for the entirety, but they only used it when absolutely necessary, as you saw. Like even in the cut before that, they cut away to 2D and then switch to 3D. You'll see that again. Like right now, they switch back to 2D. This is 2D. And it's animated in once. I think this is the Tatsuya Yoshihara sequence. And yeah, Denji's animated here in once. Just excessively fluid. And yeah, the smears are dead giveaway that this is indeed 2D. The head might be CGI, but I could be wrong. If it is, then that's just flawless integration with the 2D body. This is my favorite cut, single cut of the episode. alongside Enokido's cut. I'm just a sucker for these kind of shots, you know, like a large group of people approaching and he just slices and dices as he moves forward. Full 2D again, mostly 2D. Maybe the head is CGI. Maybe the head is CGI, but the body is definitely full 2D here. The smears are so good and add to the movement so much more. And does it switch to 3D? I think that's 3D again. And another extraordinarily awesome cut. FX animation, just spiky FX animation, Tatsuya Yoshihara special. And look at this. Denji appears through that and he's 2D here. And that's 3D. 2D, 3D, 2D, 3D. You see what I'm talking about? You see how seamless that integration is? I can tell from the coloration and the line work when it switches from 2D to 3D. And then back to 2D again. This is a full 2D sequence. And sauce him in his half. Classy Yoshihara effects. So good. And this is like possibly the only actual janky sequence in the whole show so far. This is pretty janky. Like this is objectively mediocre CGI. The way Denji looks around here. Yeah, this just looks awkward. It's animated in 2s to make it feel like it's 2D. But it doesn't look 2D, right? It's not 2D. And this is the only single cut that looks bad in the whole episode. And by bad, I mean less than perfect. That's it. It's not like X-arm level. It's really, really good CGI, highly detailed and moves pretty okay-ish, but not as good as the rest of the episode. Again, this is still the CGI model. And here you can see a little bit of the anti-aliasing problem. Aliasing problem, not anti-aliasing. Aliasing problem with this T. It looks kind of jagged. Again, the motions are really natural looking. I wish they added a little bit more smears here. And then we switch back again to this final 2D sequence. This looks sick. Awesome. I'm probably going to use this as a thumbnail. Yeah, I'm definitely using this as a thumbnail. It looks sick. The one who did the layout for this is Hiroyuki Takashima. And his LO looks really good. His LO looks Genga material. It's that good. It's sick. And yeah, animated all of this. It looks really fucking sick. Most of his LO was utilized in CGI format, as you saw all of these segments. This is his LO. Again, he animated 2D on top of this. I mean, beneath this. And then the CGI was used based on the movement references that he laid out using his 2D. And then on top of that, the CGI was animated. Sort of reverse of how Ufotable does it. Ufotable uses 3D layouts and a 2D animation on top of it. Sometimes, of course, they don't use 3D layouts all the time. But here, they are using 2D hand-drawn animated layouts and then animating using CGI on top of it because the final product looks so heavily detailed. Yeah, I just really love this cut. Awesome job by Hiroyuki Takashima, and the smears are back. I love smears. Smears are the best thing to come out of Japanese animation or animation in general. This final cut looks a little bit janky. They could have utilized a little bit more smears there and it would have looked much better. And this is a shot from the trailer, pretty much 1-to-1. And yeah, the cloth animation is just so fucking sick, so fluid. Done by Koki Fujimoto. Again, people already had predictions just from this one cut that this was Koki Fujimoto sequence. I don't know how you do that. I can't tell that this is Koki Fujimoto's animation just from the way the cloth is moving. But apparently there are Sakuga eyes that are so highly evolved out there that you can just see that and, oh wait. Oh, look at that shoe. Never mind. Oh yeah, there's like no line work in the shoe to show the smear. Yeah, that's Koki Fujimoto for sure, obviously. Another CGI model of Denji. This is full CGI. Yeah, this is full CGI for sure. Really cool shots with the layout. And Makima comes face to face with Denji and it looks kind of awkward here, like she's staring into blank space. A little bit awkward because Denji's a 3D model here. I wish Denji was animated in 2D here because it's just a still frame, right? But I guess they thought the model is so detailed that might as well use CGI here. Because in this shot, it does look really good, right? This is still the CGI shot and it mixes very well with Makima's head in the corner. I mean, even in faraway shots, the compression is very minimal. You can barely tell that that's a CGI model. I mean, you can tell it, but it's not overblown with the compression like in some Attack on Titan sequences when the model, highly detailed model gets shrunk so much. There's no compression here. And she does hug him. Like you would hug your pet dog. And that's again fully 2D, I think. Maybe the head is CGI, but mostly 2D. And then this melts off. Another really cool sequence. I was wondering how he went back to normal. I thought the chainsaw just went back into his head, but apparently not. It melts away. The sequence was animated by Moang. Wait, where do I know Moang from? I think I know him from Osama Ranking. I think I mainly know him from Fate Apocrypha. Oh yeah, Moang was the episode director for Akebi Sailor Uniform, episode 7. And it looked incredible because he called up all of his friends to work on it. Yeah, some more sick character acting. Another cool laid out sequence here. Where is it? Here it is. This looks sick. Just giving an entire idea of the space. This was something that was thoroughly lacking from Jujutsu Kaisen's show, and even Jujutsu Kaisen's movie to some extent. Sometimes the space didn't feel, very immersive. You didn't get an idea of what kind of space they're fighting in. And the end with some more impressive, super impressive character acting. And that's the episode. That's one episode down. And the ending sequence, it's Wandy. I love Wandy. But yeah, that's one of the ending songs. Of course, every single ending is probably going to have different artists working on it. The one that I'm most excited for is Maximum the Hormones ending. They did the iconic opening for Death Note with the trippy visuals and just overall crazy vibe. This is Chainsaw Man's first episode. I will be doing an episode breakdown for every single one of Chainsaw Man's episodes as they come out. I'm going to be doing that for Mob Psycho and Chainsaw Man. And also going to be doing for My Hero Academia for the standout episodes in which, Yutaka Nakamura might animate. But I might just end up doing core-wise animation analysis for My Hero Academia, Spy X Family and stuff. Blue Lock is another show with pretty good visuals, but nothing like Sakuga worthy to talk about yet. And Bocchi the Rock also looks fucking incredible. This season is so stacked. I want to make a lot of videos, particularly for the season, but I don't know if I'll be able to make them because I don't have a job. I'm unemployed, so I'm looking for a job, and the job part is I'm really getting into that right now, currently. So I've got an interview the day after tomorrow. Gotta prepare for that. But hopefully I can get this video out by then. Remember to rate the video and subscribe if you want to see more. Leave a comment down below, even if it's just to say hey, thanks for the views. And as usual, stay tuned for the Nozomu Abe video.